Hi friends, welcome to another studio vlog. If you don't know me, my name is Miss Bev, and my trusty sidekick is our corgi granddog, Dexter. And in today's vlog, one of the things you're going to do is find out why he is our granddog and why he's living with us. So you're probably wondering why in the world I posted all those people at the beginning of this vlog. Well, it's because they all have one thing in common. So as I tell you all about it, you will also be watching me create these button backing cards and pack some buttons. Before we get started though, allow me to note my disclaimer. I pulled these photos and stories off the internet and will post links to them in the description box below. I'm using this platform to promote awareness for a rare brain disease called Moyamoya, which means puff of smoke in Japanese. And that's what all those people at the beginning of this vlog have in common, Moyamoya. Either they or a loved one has been diagnosed with this disease. Moyamoya is a rare brain disease in which the carotid artery in the skull becomes blocked or narrowed, reducing blood flow to the brain. Then tiny blood vessels then open up at the base of the brain in an attempt to supply the brain with blood. When they collapse, it shows up in the MRI as a puff of smoke, as you see here in this image. When the brain doesn't get enough blood, the results can be debilitating, sometimes fatal. The symptoms of Moyamoya are TIAs, otherwise known as mini strokes or trans-ischemic attacks. Also full-fledged strokes, brain hemorrhages, seizures, migraine headaches, amongst a few. Most, if not all, Moyamoya patients have to undergo not one, but two brain surgeries because Moyamoya attacks both sides of the brain. As if news couldn't get much worse, right? I'm going to give you a brief summary of each person I posted at the beginning of this vlog. So we're going to start with Will Yun Lee, who is an actor and plays Dr. Alan York in the hit TV series The Good Doctor. But it's not Will who has Moyamoya, but his son Cash. Cash was diagnosed with Moyamoya at the age of 3 after having a stroke. Can't comprehend how a child so young can have a stroke, can you? We're all so used to thinking that it only happens in older people, but we now know strokes hit any age. Cash was first misdiagnosed and wasn't getting any better until his parents opted for a second opinion with well-known Moyamoya surgeon Dr. Steinberg at Stanford Medical Center in California. Cash had his successful brain surgery and is now living a normal life. Next is Jennifer Lee, otherwise known as ToKIMONSTA, who is a popular DJ, record producer, and a Grammy Award nominee. Before 2015, ToKIMONSTA suffered with very painful migraine headaches until one day in 2015 her foot went numb and she said it felt like a ghost foot. With many tests to follow, she was eventually diagnosed with Moyamoya. After her brain surgeries, she suffered with aphasia for several months. She had difficulty walking and talking, but she was able to regain her strength, and with patience and determination, she is now living a successful life. Then we have Keala Settle, who played the bearded lady in The Greatest Showman. Keala suffered her first stroke just the week before she was to go on stage at the 2018 Academy Award show to perform her famous rendition of This Is Me. That following April, after being diagnosed with Moyamoya, Keala had her surgeries. They were a success, and she continues to do well and live a full life. And next we have Sophia Campa Peters. At the age of 6, Sophia suffered several strokes that left her paralyzed on the left side, and she was unable to walk. Soon after, she was then diagnosed with Moyamoya. And when her surgeries were scheduled, she decided to write President Trump to ask him if he could have 10,000 people pray for her as she went under surgery. I remember seeing her on the news meeting President Trump when he announced to the world that she needed prayers. In no time, of course, she got her 10,000 plus. Her surgeries were a success and she was able to walk soon after. You can read more about her success in her website, where I'll leave a link below in the description box. And the last person on the list is our very own precious daughter, Elise. She's also Dexter's mom. And here's her story. Early in the summer of 2017, unbeknownst to Elise, she suffered a TIA, or a mini stroke, in the middle of the night. She was in bed when all of a sudden she felt a tingling, numbing sensation on the right side of her body. It came and it went. On a visit to the optometrist in July, he grew concerned over what seemed to him as a droopy eyelid on her right eye, so he told her he was sending her to an eye specialist. That's when she called us to let us know. I had so many questions and I tried not to worry, but a mom just can't help it sometimes. I turned to Dr. Google. That didn't help, as it talked about brain tumors and such, and I wasn't ready to hear or read that kind of stuff just yet. Living 800 miles from each other didn't help. When Elise met with the eye specialist, he was very concerned as well and decided to make an appointment for her to get an MRI done. When she called to give us that update, I just about broke down. I wanted to be with her so bad. I just couldn't bear her going through this alone. I mentioned to her my wanting to go down to be with her through this procedure, but she insisted that I wait. She was concerned about stuff she shouldn't have been concerned with, like me leaving her dad, my hubby, behind. And what was I going to do in between appointments? She was convinced I would get bored and probably drive her nuts, so I stayed. Fortunately, though, when it was time to get her MRI, her brother, who lived a lot closer, was able to get off of work and take her to the appointment, take her home, and stayed with her until the following day. If I remember correctly, the MRI results took longer than expected, and the waiting period was grueling. But when she finally got the results, she called us with the news that no parent wants to ever hear from their child. She met with her neurologist, who told her that it looked like she might have Moyamoya, a rare brain disease that's progressive with no known cure. And that she would probably need brain surgery on both sides of her head. If you look at the big picture, the surgeries are a good thing as long as there are no repercussions. But if they are successful, it can give the Moyamoya patient decades of a somewhat normal life. If no surgery is performed, though, it can also prove to be fatal or debilitating in the worst way. Her neurologist sent Elise's medical files to Dr. Kalani at the UVA Medical School in Charlottesville, Virginia. Dr. Kalani was familiar with Moyamoya as he studied under Dr. Steinberg at Stanford University, who I mentioned earlier. After several appointments at UVA, Elise was ready for me to come down. By that time, after many sleepless nights of crying myself to sleep and waking up in the mornings only to be hit with the realization that it wasn't a nightmare dream, but a real-life nightmare, I was ready, sleeves rolled up, ready to tackle this giant, and with the Lord's help too. My faith sustained me during that difficult time, and although there were many days I felt defeated, God reassured me that I just needed to trust Him, as He had everything under control. Watching Elise with her quiet strength was also reassuring. She never complained. She was, as usual, her quiet, strong self. Was like that growing up, never melodramatic, a presence of strength within her, just like her daddy. I arrived at her place October 28th, and then said goodbye to hubby, her daddy, the following day as he headed back to Michigan. As Halloween quickly approached, Elise dressed up like a scarecrow, and she allowed me to take this picture of her. Look at her long, beautiful ponytails. After this picture was taken, about a month later, all her hair was chopped off. Elise had still been working her full-time job through all this. She had no other symptoms except for the TIA she had back in June. She was very fortunate in that aspect because many other Moyamoya patients aren't able to work because of recurring TIAs or strokes or severe migraine headaches, sometimes aphasia due to the stroke. Elise's first surgery was on November 7, 2018, 5 months from her TIA. The surgery took less than 4 hours, and the procedure is called indirect bypass, in which the temporalis muscle is dissected and then placed on the surface of the brain to form a new blood supply to develop from the transposed muscle. Elise recovered remarkably well after her first surgery. She fought some chills at first, rested a lot, but regained her strength in no time. She was not allowed, though, to drive and wouldn't be able to until a month after her second surgery, as long as she didn't have any seizures or any other post-surgery complications. Her second surgery took place on December 1st, and although she recovered fairly quickly, again, she said it was more painful than the first one. The first couple of days after the second surgery, she was very nauseous and couldn't keep anything down. It was so hard to see her go through all that. Seeing Elise with all her hair chopped off was also so hard, but she took it all in stride. On her first haircut of 2, she donated her long braided ponytail to Locks of Love, a non-profit charity organization that accepts donations of human hair and transforms them into wigs for hospitalized kids with a terminal illness. As each week passed after her second surgery, we started counting down to how close we were getting to her being able to drive again. It was good news, too, that she wasn't having any seizures nor any other complications due to her surgeries. She's been very blessed. In this picture, I'm giving her the keys to her car, thus ending my chauffeur duties. Is that a happy face or what? I believe it took another 2 weeks before she could return back to work. And folks, not only did she return back to her daytime job, she took on a second job at Subway. Although she had great insurance through her company, she felt she needed a second job to help pay the balance of her medical bills. That's our Moyamoya Warrior for sure. If my memory serves me correctly, she returned to work in mid-January. I wanted to stay a good solid month after she started work just to make sure she wouldn't have any relapses or complications. Again, God blessed her and allowed her to work and continues to work to this day without any complications. Thank you, Lord. We can't thank God enough for all that He's done in Elisa's life through this ordeal. He is the master physician and master healer, and so grateful He had His hand on Elise the whole time and continues to keep her going. My departure date was set for mid-March of 2018. I can't say I'm glad all this happened, but spending 5 months with Elise was fun a lot of the time. She introduced me to Stranger Things and the X-Files. I introduced her to Downton Abbey. We enjoyed watching football together, even though it was sad when her beloved Patriots lost to the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. We took many nature walks with Dexter and ate out quite often. We spent Christmas together and enjoyed decorating together as well. We chose to bring Dexter with us, and it was a hard decision for Elise to make. She knew it was best, though. The fear of something happening again to her, but this time not being able to get someone to watch him and to find a place for him to stay would have been very difficult to handle. I told her she could take him back, only if she were able to stay with him all day, every day. The good news, though, is that we traded one of our kitty cats, so at least she has Lizzie. I'd like to take this time to thank the so many people who helped Elise during her ordeal, starting with her brother Corey and his then girlfriend, now wife, Holly. They kept Elise company when she had to take the long drive to Charlottesville, since they lived close to there. Also, an angel came through out of the blue and paid Elise's bills and living expenses for the next 3 months. I'm still in awe when I think about it. You know who you are. I can't mention any names, but God knows. Thank you again so much for that. The medical staff at UVA Medical Center were all wonderful. The doctors, the nurses, office staff, down to the cleaning lady, all top notch. So thankful to Dr. Kalani as well, who was her neurosurgeon, and his staff. The dog sitters, Lynn and Sue, thank you. The visitors who came by, Dexter, his then girlfriend, now wife. The girls, Amy, Jennifer, and Tricia, they've all been BFFs since grade school. Thank you to Elise's employer for welcoming her back to work, and the huge amount of well wishers on Facebook who were constantly praying for her. My church family, redeemed ladies, our neighbors who kept the lookout on my hubby to make sure he was okay, the marks for feeding him and keeping him company too. Oh, and I almost forgot, the UVA Hospitality House in Charlottesville. Great facilities, very organized, sweet people, precious roommates, all for $10 a night. Thank you. So friends, that's our story with Moyamoya. May 6th is World Moyamoya Day. Please spread awareness because we need a cure. Take care, friends, and God bless.